This is FSD Supervised 12.4.3, and this is going to be my Lakeland and back loop. I got the update late last night, but it was dark, and I didn't want to do the drive in the dark. So the turn there was, in my opinion, quite wide. Not really desired. So far I'm seeing, I mean, I've only driven it like a mile, but in that mile I haven't seen enough to make me feel that issues are resolved. There's one spot closer to my house where it doesn't handle the getting into the right turn lane properly. But yeah, so 12.4 is supposed to introduce no nags on the steering wheel as long as your eyes are forward. So starting now, I'm going to take my hand off the wheel and let it do its thing. And I guess we'll see when the first nag kicks in. So, yeah. If you've watched these videos before, you'll know the video itself is like half of it, and the rest of it is in the description below. I will try and narrate what I can while I'm driving, but then I review the videos in post to add bookmarks to the interesting bits. And I'll add notations in the description to go along with the bookmarks to be like, this is why I bookmarked it. And it might point out some anomalous stuff here and there. So sometimes a bookmark might seem pointless, but I'm trying to point something out on the visualization. So this is roughly rush hour time, so we're probably going to encounter some heavy traffic along the way. Now, this Ford dealership makes me laugh, and I'm not sure how well it'll show up on the camera, but the entire front portion of the Ford dealership, Teslas. So you should be able to see a great shot of it right there. They've got like 57 Teslas at that Ford dealership. Which, you know, kudos to them. It looks like they bought a bunch of used Hertz fleet cars and they put them out in the front, but it's just 57 seems like a lot when I last checked, because I was curious, because it's weird to see a Ford dealership prominently displaying Tesla vehicles, but there it is. Gotta give the people what they want, I guess. I am wearing glasses while staring ahead, in addition to a baseball cap. And I am rotating my head from side to side every now and then to keep an eye on my surroundings. It's pulsing the brakes for the blinking yellow light, so that behavior's not gone away. That's still there. Sometimes here, it'll shoot a little message down here about a toll booth being detected. There it is. Oh, they took the LED portion of that down. Interesting. Guess they're testing the evacuation signs. expecting any real differences between 12.4 and 12.3. Mainly it's the removal of the hands on the wheel requirement that I'm seeing as the biggest difference. So it looks like if you mess with the screen, you get a message that says, please pay attention to the road. Wow, you're really gunning it there, aren't you, buddy? So the speed limit offset is set to 14%. So at a speed limit of 70 miles an hour, 77 is correct. And it must have ignored the 60 mile an hour sign that's associated with the construction sign back there, which is fine. As you can see, that's what's keeping me with the flow of traffic right now. There's debate on whether or not you would want that behavior under normal circumstances, but I-4 is one of the more dangerous highways in the U.S., so I'd rather keep speed with traffic than be a hindrance. Right about now is when I'm expecting the car to start looking into getting into the center lane, because I actually need to be in the far right lane. Now is a fantastic opportunity to change lanes. Normally it does it at the 1.5 mile mark, so they seem to have reduced. There it is. So it happened at 1.2 instead of 1.5. So I like that. It wanted to change lanes. It realized that there was a vehicle on the right, and it didn't. Whether or not that was intentional, I have no idea. But that is correct behavior. And then it needs to change lanes now. There it is. So, again, to me, one of the biggest things about the full self-driving stack is it needs to be predictable. I need to be able to sit here and go, this is when I'm going to change lanes. And it does it, right? I consider myself to be an average driver versus assertive. Now up here it's going to be a little tricky. The right lane ends, and in an ideal world I need to be immediately going into the left lane, or almost immediately. Semi-truck had been more parallel to me, the sense of urgency would have been a little bit higher. But the semi-truck was not immediately next to me. It was a good ways back. Say is I poked the screen to turn the cameras on, and a message popped up saying, hey, pay attention to the road, because I did look away from the road to push the button. So it does seem to be doing the eye tracking thing fairly well. We'll see what it does here in a little bit when I turn that off. left lane to get out of the way. Which, again, I understand people saying don't drive in the left lane, but technically if the car is moving out of the left lane when traffic is approaching behind you, that's fine in my book. As long as you yourself are not being an obstruction to the flow of traffic, that's the goal. Car did also get a map update, and we'll look and see if that's been changed. I did briefly touch the steering wheel back when it said eyes on the road when I pushed the camera button. I guess you could say it was force of habit. From any message that pops up on the screen, just touch the steering wheel to acknowledge it. That guy's not maintaining his lane. Stay in the left to go through the toll booth. Good. Historically, 12.3 has tried to change lanes once it gets past the combining of the lanes. So we'll see what it does. 3, 2, 1. No lane change. So that's resolved. Now when we pull up to Harden, I need to be in the center or left lane, not the right lane. The turn tip is gone, and I don't know how to interpret that. It used to denote whether there were 2 or 3 turn lanes, but the recent map update that they did took away the markings that show which lane I need to be in. Not sure how to interpret that. So it does correctly see the markings. I could try, I want to record it as one solid video. No, I'll do the target problem another day. The target problem, which I've recorded once and I really need to record again at some point, is when you take this left turn, target is on the immediate right side of the road. So you need to be in the right lane. But historically, every time you drive through here, the car always defaults to the center lane. And I prefer when I do this drive, I don't have to cut the video, because it makes it way easier to edit to just upload a single file that works, versus splitting it in half and then splicing them together. Makes it look less shady, like I'm trying to hide misbehavior or something. So far, no interventions, no disengagements. We need to not cross the line that is on the left, which we're doing. Good. Perfect. So again, the target problem is I need to be in the right lane to get into target, and it hasn't done that. I might try and do that later. I'm not entirely sure why the blue thing showed up, but it went away. I guess I was looking off to the side too long or something. Speed limit is 50, car is going 42. Apparently the car heard me and decided to accelerate. So we have reached the destination. 0 interventions, 0 disengagements. Some anomalous behavior like the blinking yellow lights, but it got us there. I'm going to let it do its thing. There was no stop sign. Slowed down for the speed bump. I got a blinking blue again for no real reason. And I'm guessing I will have to disengage it around the corner when it tries to park itself. I hate this speed bump. Why you would put one in at an angle, I have no idea. Now, to me, it should end navigation, but it's not. It is going to instead try and park the car or something. Pay attention to the road is because I'm trying to pay attention to the visualization and figure out what the car is trying to do. Car wants to just loop around. There. So I'm going to disengage in a little bit. You can't turn left there, they closed it. Or you can't turn right there, they closed it. Alright, so we are going to disengage. And I'm going to tell it to park here. Which, in picking that, I don't know is a parking space. No, I think it's part of the hash marks. Yeah, it's part of the hash marks. You can start to see it. It's going to park in the hash mark here, but the lines are faded. Where this fence is in the back, you used to be able to drive across and just pop over to the other place, and this hash mark was to not block the way across the street or into the other apartments behind us, but they have filled it in. You're not doing a very good job parking here, buddy. Although, to be fair, it's not supposed to park here in the first place. There we go. Alright, and that's actually what I want to do for the return trip. So, drive. Well, that's not good, but we'll see what it does. So again, the road behind me was filled in. But the navigation data still believes that you can cross from this parking lot to that parking lot back there. So now it's got to sniff its way out of this parking lot, which we'll soon realize the only way forward is straight. I wish you wouldn't have the signal on the entire time, though. Can't pull a U-turn there just yet, buddy. I'm paying attention to the road. It's tricky. It says pay attention to the road, but you got to pay attention to the to the visualizations to understand what the hell the car's trying to do. So now I just look like an old person with the blinker on. No. Yep. No, you got to make that turn. Now there's a car behind me. So I'm going to disengage. And I'm going to wait for the navigation to realize that it needs to go in a different direction. Any day now. There it is. So this is another instance of navigation screwing the system over. Or navigation data screwing the system over. Not yet. And go. Yes. Perfect. So it's another case of the navigation data screwing over FSD. I pick one. Don't like that. The left lane is the good choice for going now. Oh shit, you're going to confuse the hell out of the car behind you. Left lane is the lane to be in to get through on this traffic light. This lane is the correct lane to be in at the end of everything. So I personally would have committed into going into the left lane. Because I would have gotten through on the last traffic light, and then I could have changed lanes back over to the right on the other side. Interesting. I don't like that indecision in which lane to get into. But navigation data is FSD's current pitfall. The AI Day 2021 and 22, I think, they were talking about multi-trip reconstruction, and it's supposed to account for all that stuff. Like I've driven through that parking lot since they've closed in that gap a number of times, even while recorded here. And they have yet to update the navigation to demonstrate the fact that, or to reflect the fact that the road has been closed, or filled in, whatever you want to call it. So there's something wonky with the parking lot data there. So while we're at the red light, one thing I'm not sure has been demonstrated is if you bring this out and then you slide this over, the corner map changes from whatever the next few feet is in front of you to the entire trip, which is handy until you forget, and then it stays like that, but it's useful until you realize you meant to not have it look like that, and then you gotta fiddle with it. It's interesting. So they went away. The turn tips were there. Why did they go away? Shit. So why don't they show up on the other one? So now we need to stay in this lane. So at this point, anytime the blue pulses, it's because I'm staring at the screen longer than about 2 to 3 seconds. And then I keep staring back at the screen to see if the blue pulsing stops. Which is not... I want to say counterintuitive, but that doesn't seem like the right word. It's shooting yourself in the foot to be sure, though. So the next maneuver is going to be interesting in high traffic, which I don't think I've done before. This is frontage road, or whatever road this is, and then this one here is the 570. We need to go this lane that I'll be in remains a lane, and then there's 2 lanes that cross Harden Blvd. So I need to go from a lane across 2 lanes onto the on-ramp to get onto the 570. And then as I get onto the 570, it needs to recognize that the speed limit is 65, and when it goes through the toll booth, it needs to not drop down to 75, which is what it has done, which, because it's set to auto, I can't override it like I can when I'm not set to auto. So let's find out how this handles. Should be able to see that everyone and their mother is going to do the same thing. .3 did this, so I don't expect any issues. The light's green, so I don't have any oncoming traffic. It should just do it. Oh, you almost didn't. That's a regression. You did it, but that blue SUV I don't think appreciated what was done there. So I'm going to consider that a regression because it tried to stay in the lane and then it slowly moved its way over. What it actually needs to do is just go straight across the lanes, which doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. Speed limit is saying 25 miles an hour. I'm going to accelerate using the gas pedal because someone is coming up behind me pretty quick. Now it sees a speed limit of 65, and now we're on the highway stack. So that on-ramp still has issues. Oh. And there is a police officer behind me. So, gee willikers, won't this be fun? Oh, he's getting off the highway. Yay! I don't want to be in the right lane, or as I approach the end of this highway and I merge into I-4, I don't want to be in this lane. I want to be in the left lane. The right lane has to merge into the left lane, and it just gets ugly. Oh, somebody's off the road. Oh, somebody took out a street light and went off the road. That's not good. But I see them on the phone. Biased to the left a little bit when going past that pickup truck. So I would not go below 55 miles an hour here. 50 at the absolute minimum. Although I think here a lot of the cars in front of me are what's slowing me down. I should be aiming to get in behind the Mustang. Well, he just took the fun out of that. And now we're getting into rush hour traffic. I would probably not leave this lane because I'm getting off at the next exit, even though it's 2.5 miles away. This is why I don't do the drives at this hour normally. Well, you had a good opportunity to change lanes and you shit it. So again, because of how the traffic is here and where I'm needing to get off, in all honesty, I would just chill out in this lane. There's no reason to not be in this lane. I'm below 50 miles an hour, so legally I can stay here while that truck is pulled over. But there is zero reason to leave this lane. It's the faster lane. And it's the lane I need to be in. The vehicle next to me is accelerating into the pocket. Again, I would not leave this lane. So at 1.5 miles, I think it realized it needs to just chill out here. We can also see this time it's decided to obey the 60 mile an hour sign. erroneous Tollbooth message. This is not a toll road. There's no toll booth coming up. So that blue flashing is, again, I poked the screen, which took my eyes off the screen for a minute. And then it went away. I haven't touched the steering wheel, I want to say, since getting onto the 570. I can't remember if I touched it beforehand, and it's not on camera, so it's not like I can keep myself honest on that one, so I'm just going to shortchange myself. No reason to be slowing down to 13 miles an hour here. Well, that's not true. I get what it's trying to do. It doesn't want to block the intersection. But looking ahead, I can see that I was not going to block the intersection. So while I don't appreciate what it was doing, I understand why it was doing it. And I think that's a pretty big difference. Blinking yellow. We're going to pump the brakes. There's the brake pumping. Now I just look like I'm flashing my taillights of the Mustang behind me. Change to me is the correct one to make. And again, this dealership, you can even see them from here in the back, and then again right here. They've got Teslas at the front of the show. I wouldn't be braking here. Well, okay. I wouldn't have braked there because I don't mind flying over that thing really fast. Some people I can understand would. That lane change that I just did was unnecessary, though. I would not have done that. See, I just ended up right back over here again. Basically, it just needs to stay in this lane the rest of the way. So that's pretty much it. Zero interventions, zero disengagements going to Lakeland. Once leaving the destination in Lakeland, there was a disengagement due to bad navigation data on how to exit the parking lot, and I had to help it leave the parking lot. There was a very slight regression getting on from Harden Blvd to the 570 high toll road. It should have gone straight, and it didn't. It tried to maintain the lane, and then it got 2 lanes over quickly, but the maneuver was sloppy, and there was a blue SUV that had the potential, had they accelerated faster, to lock me into missing that turn. So that needs to be fixed. Going through the toll booth, the car slows down to 25 miles an hour, and then it needs to pick speed. It needs to pick its speed back up again to 65, and it doesn't. So an intervention occurred where I had to hold down the accelerator. From there, it was fine until the interstate, and then once on the interstate, it tried to do a bunch of lane changes that all failed due to traffic, which is the system's biggest pitfall, but that's not version 12 yet. That's like version 11.5. But yeah, thanks for watching.